Honorable Nqola.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Mhlekazi,
Molotat.
for the awarding of the Medicare 24 tender from Mr. Matlala.
No.
Did you ever receive a bribe from anyone in respect of the same purpose?
No.
Did you ever get an instruction from your superior
No.
that against all odds, Medicare 24 must be given that tender?
No.
Are you aware of the implications if found to have deliberately misled Parliament? The legal implications of that?
Correct, Honorable Chair.
Okay. Let's go to your paragraph 19 of your statement. You make mention that the end user is actually the one who nominates those who must serve in the bid specification committee. So is there a criteria that defines how the end user, or what criteria must the end user use to nominate those particular individuals, or is just subjective from that particular end user?
Honorable Chair, the nomination criteria for members to serve in the bid specification and bid evaluation is that they should be technically knowledgeable with regards to the procurement that is being embarked upon.
That's the only criteria.
That's the
knowledgeable and credible.
Yes.
In terms of the procurement policy.
The reason why we appoint a chairperson and the facilitators from a procurement environment is so that they can bridge the gap with regards to the procurement knowledge.
Do you confirm that the people who served in respect of this particular tender, the people who served in the bid specification committee, are knowledgeable and credible?
The members are operating in that space, and they are section heads in that space. They ought to have been knowledgeable with regards to the services that are required with regards to this. What made it easier for me with regards to this one, the section heads at the level of Major General who manage the section and who know exactly what needs to be delivered were part of the bid specification as nominated.
Are they credible?
There is no reason for me to doubt their credibility at that time.
Are the people serving in the bid evaluation committee credible and knowledgeable?
Knowledgeable, I would say yes. Credible,
You don't know.
I don't know. I do not have
not make
a
sure.
measure.
Are you not the one who's supposed to agree on the nominations of individuals to the BC?
I am.
So how do you not know if they are credible? If the policy instructs you to appoint people who are credible in the BC, how do you not know whether those people that would have been appointed in the BC are credible? What criteria was used? If you say the criteria is credible and knowledgeable.
We are using quite a number of things in our in the policing environment. One of the things that probably was used by the end user to nominate this was to look at their
No, let's leave the end user now.
Yeah.
The end user is already nominated.
Yes.
The ball is in your court.
Yeah.
You are the final arbiter of who must serve in the BC. Then are you confirming before Parliament that the people you would have agreed that they must be appointed to the BC are credible?
The criteria I use is knowledge, not credibility. It is expected of every member of the South African Police Service to be credible in their dealings.
General Fani. It's towards the end of the week for us to fight. It's in your statement. You say in your statement, the procurement policy instructs you or obligates you to appoint credible and knowledgeable people. So don't dismiss credible now.
Sure.
It's too late for you to dismiss credible now because you have done that statement under oath.
Yes.
Now, I'm saying, are you saying confirming before Parliament that the people who served in the bid evaluation committee are credible. You said they are knowledgeable. We have taken that.
Sure.
Are they credible?
I cannot vouch on credibility.
Okay, so you appointed people in the BC that you can vouch their credibility.
Correct, Honorable Chair.
Thank you. What does both the preliminary and the final internal audit results suggest about the credibility and the knowledgeability of those people?
It only single out the facilitator. It's very silent on the rest of the BC
Okay.
members.
That's fine. You say there are moments where you appoint consultants to assist the bid evaluation committee.
Ever since I got into the South African Police Service, we have not.
No, I'm saying, you say
Yes,
in your
in
statement.
the policy, yes.
In the policy says
Yes.
there are moments where you have to reinforce the BC with consultants.
Yes.
So, in your own knowledge or the information you have received, has this been done before or when you were there? How much has it costed? Because as I'm seeing it, it's what criminal lawyers would call a trial within a trial. So you have got a procurement within a procurement process. You are undergoing a procurement process for another item. Now you have to procure the services of the consultants to assist the procurement of this item. So that's why I'm terming it, criminal lawyers call it a trial within a trial. This looks like a procurement within a procurement.
In the 3.5 years of me being in South African Police Service, I have not appointed consultants to do our procurement. We have only, in line with the agreements we have with CETA, activated some of the procurement in line with the CETA Act with CETA, and we have, in terms of knowledge of AMSCO, have asked them to do some of the procurement of some of the ammunition and firearm procurement. But in terms of sourcing services of consultant outside, we have not, in as far as I have been in South African Police Service.
Paragraph 22, you mentioned that drafting specification, which I agree with you, drafting specification of a tender, in particular of this nature, is too much technical because it's a healthcare related tender. It requires a technical skill. So, do you have an internal technical skill within the specification? Did you have, in respect of this tender? I don't want to generalize. Did you have an internal technical skill in your bid specification committee that has led to the awarding of this tender?
The appointed bid specification committee have the technical skills required.
Okay. So all the specification processes that which you table on paragraph 24.3 have been followed. Paragraph 24.3.
I'm going
you
through that,
detail there a lot of issues in relation to the specification process and all that. So in respect of this tender, was all that process followed in due course, and is the audit report in actual agreement with that?
All of them have been looked at, and they are there in the evaluation report. But there has been an audit finding on 24.3.1. Yeah, only on 24.3.1.
So there is only one aspect where the internal audit finding says this one was not adhered to.
Yes.
Okay. Maybe it will take us back to the credibility of your PEC members. Ne? Maybe we'll go there later. Since your appointment in the supply chain management unit, have you ever found officials colluding with service providers for purposes of awarding tenders?
No.
Have you ever found consultants, even if prior your arrival, ever been consultants who have been found to have colluded with service providers and bribe service providers to gain tenders, or most importantly, consultants colluding with service providers to give them information in respect of the specification, the budget, and all the stuff?
There's only one matter that I can recall where we have found that the suppliers on the panel had prior knowledge of the budget, and that's a recent matter that was highlighted to me by the acting head of DPCI, and we have dealt with that matter. We are dealing with that matter rather.
It's one incident.
That's the only incident. That
at what stage
recall.
is it now? How are you dealing with the matter, and at what stage is it now?
We have advised the end user. It was a few days prior to my departure. I have advised in writing the end user on the process that needs to be followed. They must report the case to SAPS. Well, to a police station rather, and have a case number, and then they must then go through a process of making sure that they restrict the supplier if the supplier is found wanting through the investigation that they need to have.
When are you going back to office?
I will be back on the 12th of December.
This year?
I probably would be back in office in January.
Okay. Will you be able to formulate a written report in respect only of this aspect of this process? Update the committee on the detail of what you have found and the consequence management steps that you are taking.
I have access to my emails. I'll prompt the Lieutenant General in that space to furnish me with what happened in that space in my absence, and then I will finish that report. I would request the committee to send us a request, but I have noted.
You can whisper to that man on your right when you are done. It's going to give you the details. Okay, who is responsible on putting together the procurement plan that you regularly submit to the National Treasury?
The ultimate responsibility is mine. The needs are compiled by the end users. The demand manager or the component head demand puts together the plan. The process within the SAPS is that we present the plan to the National Commissioner, who is the accounting officer, for his sign off, and he does that, and we send it to the National Treasury for consideration.
No consultants?
No, we do it ourselves.
Do the items you submit in your procurement plan contain the specification of the item you are to procure and the cost, therefore?
We have cost estimates.
Cost estimates, yeah.
And we've got a service and a description of a service, not the specification.
Not the specification?
No.
Okay. Chair, I'm not sure if News 24 is here. Last week, they issued an article. This article suggests that Mr. Matlala leased or rented clinics or healthcare facilities from the SAPS 6 months before he was awarded the 360 million rands contract. Are you aware of that?
The article is incorrect. The rental of facilities is not done by SAPS. It's done by Public Works. For Matlala rented the facilities at Public Works.
Okay. But this is the crux of the issue. I get your point, and we did not say SAPS.
No.
This is the crux of the issue. The issue is there are healthcare facilities that are rendered by Mr. Matlala 6 months before getting the healthcare tender from SAPS. Is that report accurate? Is that report accurate that Mr. Matlala was given a lease for the use of healthcare facilities in the state before he was actually awarded a 360 million tender 6 months before that? Is the report accurate?
That report is accurate.
Okay. They call him a tender prophet. They call him a tender prophet because only a prophet would have known that in the next 6 months, a tender requiring these same facilities would be awarded to me. Now, this actually raises a serious concern in the eye of the public. Was it suggests that 6 months before the SAPS undertook the process to award the tender, Mr. Matlala knew, as a result, he was preparing to work in respect of that tender. In the eye of the public, as we talk, me and you now.
Correct. I must put it on record, as I have indicated, Chair, we had no knowledge as SAPS how in the dealings or how Mr. Matlala acquired the facility at Public Works. All we know is that Public Works had indicated to us that we must vacate the facilities.
Because Mr. Matlala is coming.
They just informed us that there is a supplier appointed. And we refused to vacate the facilities because we have a need for the facilities. Under no circumstances was SAPS involved in the facilitation of the acquisition of that facility. From my perspective, my department under General Stole is responsible for the lease. General Stole had no knowledge of that, and we have advised the National Commissioner accordingly. A National Commissioner has written to Public Works on numerous occasions indicating to them that we will not vacate that facility, and that's the position that we are still holding even.
So you were told to vacate the premises or the facilities because the great prophet, Pastor Matlala, is coming.
We were told to vacate because a supplier has leased.
So the supplier was not named?
No.
Okay, no, that's fine. Okay, did this process undergo quality assurance? And what was the results thereof?
I'm not sure which process, sir.
The entire process of appointment from BC, the procurement process, was it quality assured?
I have indicated the quality measures that we have in the process. I have indicated that the bid spec has a quality assurance that sits. I have indicated that there's a level of quality assurance, pre-tender quality assurance. I have indicated post-tender closing, and prior to tabling at BC, there's 2 levels of quality assurance that takes place there. And we have, futuristically, there's probity now, but there are quality assurance processes that we have embedded in the process.
Were there any procurement procedures that were flouted in awarding the tender?
The internal audit has picked up that the suppliers that should have not advanced to the next level through the evaluation process have been advanced. Yes, the process
has there been a consequence management affected to those found to be responsible for that?
I have indicated that the National Commissioner is waiting for the forensic investigation, and I think I preempt that his understanding is that he needs to have a holistic picture of who else was involved in the process so that we can have everybody going through the disciplinary process at once and not to have others left out of the process. And yes, in terms of the framework published by National Treasury, anyone that is found to have led a tender into irregularities, consequence management must be initiated and concluded.
Does the internal audit report say anything about your BEC people? Does it say anything about flouting or irregular process about your BEC people? Here you are the custodian. Someone was here.
Of the BEC.
Someone was here.
Yes.
Who said he had spectacles as well. It said, I'm the custodian of all dockets in the country.
Yeah.
So when now you are a custodian of all the BEC members. So are there any BEC members who would have been fingered in these procurement irregularities by the internal audit report?
No, internal audit report is silent in terms of who, but they have singled out the facilitator. And the facilitator can only be one person, but they have not mentioned the name. But they have indicated that the BEC and BAC, and I have responded to the evidence leader that consequence management would have to take place, and each member would then have to go and account.
You chair the BAC?
Yes, I do.
What measures do you take to ensure that every procurement process has been followed?
I do have the procurement. What I normally would do is to make sure that the processes pertaining to procurement process have been followed. I do make sure of that before the tender is advertised.
Just pause there. You'll continue. So you check if procurement processes were followed. Now let's take this part. We're going to proceed. Now, internal audit say, no, in fact, there are procurement processes that were flouted. In a process where now you gave a thumbs up as the chair of the BAC. Do you think that consequence management must start with you? How would you have missed this great central thinking around any procurement process, that at least the process must be done? Then discussing who's given the tender is a different discussion, but the due process must be followed. Now, you preside over a tender that is given to someone with flouted procurement processes. What must SAPS do to you?
Honorable Chair, I have indicated that in terms of the documentation that was provided to us and the reasons that were cited in the report, we have no reason not to believe the information that was provided to us. Honorable Chair, I've also indicated that we have interrogated the report jointly as the Bid Adjudication Committee, and we found nothing untowards what was presented to us. I must indicate at this present moment that, and I think I have also indicated that should there be any criminality that is built into the evaluation that took place, we might not be in the position to pick that in the procurement process, and that's where we are lacking, and we need to be in the position to have tools to be able to detect some of the criminality that may have been evident in the process. Passing a supplier that does not qualify for a criteria is criminality, and that should be condemned.
Okay, so you take the BEC report as it is, without verification, and adjudicate on the basis of what you affirmed as the BEC.
I have indicated, Honorable Chair, that the report was complete. What maybe we need to do, as I've indicated, in order to have seamless processes that happens at the Bid Adjudication Committee, was to include another level that will give us that verification. The documents that we receive are voluminous. We are unable to go to each document and verify every information that is in the documents. I have indicated, Honorable Chair, that it is impractical for bid adjudication committee to go through each document that is provided. If that is the expectation of the committee, the bid adjudication committee will have to be a standing committee, and their sole responsibility would be to do that. However, if there are any things that are presented in the document and they are untowards, bid adjudication committee has a responsibility to do that. I have also demonstrated that we have, in some instances, I've demonstrated in the minutes where we have looked at and there were things that were missing, and we went back and requested that information. In this instance, the bid adjudication committee members felt that they had sufficient information to adjudicate an award.
Do you agree with me that a due tender process or procurement process can be done, concluded, and awarded within a space of 2 weeks after the closure of the advert?
In a normal environment, yes. The work of SAPS is of such a nature that the members of the bid evaluation committees might not be readily available to evaluate within a short space of time. But a normal tender process, 2-3 days, you can conclude the evaluation depending on the magnitude of a tender. But the availability of members of the bid evaluation committee vis-a-vis their responsibilities in the operational environment is the one that prolongs the process. It's one of the reasons that prolongs the process.
No, I was asking that because I don't understand why this rush to an extent that we even forget to follow the due process. The last issue is, are you aware of the referral of the tender to IDEC?
No.
Do you know that? You don't know that the tender has been referred to IDEC for forensic audit?
I'm aware that it is referred to the forensic auditors, but whether that for the forensic auditors are IDEC, I don't know, but it could be.
Are you confident that that forensic audit result will not bring your name to have
I'm confident.
at the wrong side of law?
I'm very confident.
Thank you very much. No further questions, Your Worship.
We'll pass the microphone to Honorable Sokanyile.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Lieutenant General Fani, on paragraph 25, you reflect that Colonel Maleka, who was the acting section head, independently reviewed the bid evaluation committee report. Then, how is the independent review of the report undertaken? Can you reflect on that? And also reflect on the meaning of independent, because it is there on paragraph 25.
Colonel Malika at this instance was the section head of the when this tender was being adjudicated, evaluated. By virtue of his position, he has to conduct the due diligence with regards to this tender. He may, at his behest, request others to assist him with the evaluation, but it is expected of him to do the quality check on this process and attach his signature that he has done this process. The same is expected of the component head.
No, I wanted you to reflect on the independent review of the bid evaluation committee report. Can you reflect on that? And also reflect what is the meaning of independent, because I don't think that independency reflects to Colonel Malika alone, according to the paragraph 25. Can you read paragraph 25?
The section head of procurement, Colonel Maleka, who was at the time the acting section head, independently reviews the bid evaluation committee report for accuracy and ensures it aligns with the advertised bid specification and all associated documents, such as the standard bid documents.
Yeah. Then I wanted to check if this was done by Colonel Maleka or it is always done by the section head.
It is done by section head, and
Right.
he's the acting section head. He was this acting section head at the time, and he has signed the document.
Then can you reflect how independent review of the bid evaluation committee report is undertaken? Can you reflect on that?
The requirements of this is to be in the position to look at what was advertised, what was received, and whether the bid evaluation committee has done the evaluation correctly and accurately. And when he has satisfied himself with those conditions, he can then sign the report and send it through to the component head, who will also do a verification of what he has received from the section head.
And then independent, what is the meaning of it?
Independent, he is assigned the responsibility.
Meaning that he alone can decide on that. That's my meaning of independent.
He may assign duties and responsibility, or him with others may be able to do that. But he's the
He
one.
can take that decision
He can take that decision.
and do it.
Yes.
Okay. Then again, on paragraph 26, how is the checking of calculation for pricing is undertaken? Is there a guiding framework on the calculations of prices?
The National Treasury has made a stipulation and has provided a formula on how to calculate.
So you use them.
We use the National Treasury formula to calculate.
And then paragraph 27. On paragraph 27, you talk of the section head verifying documentation that ensures that all claims in the report are supported by evidence. What will be the nature of the evidence in that regard?
Where it says where there was a requirement for a lease agreement, he would then have to ensure that that claim of having a lease agreement is evident in the document. So that's type of claims that I'm talking about in this document, where it said that the supplier has, for an example, a registered nurse with occupational health. Such a claim will have to be verified, and there must be documents in the record for that claim. And if he's satisfied that all the requirements of that specification have been met, then he signs off and sends it forward for verification.
Okay. On paragraph 42, when you reflect on the chronology in the awarding of health risk services tender, that eventuality was awarded to Medicare 24, Tshwane District Pty Ltd. The meeting of the 16th January 2024, paragraph 18, that meeting was held, which talked to the pre-advertisement. And then on that pre-advertisement, there was an assurance group in component procurement that talks to a quality assurance group. Then what is their duty? What is their role? And what is the quality assurance group that we're looking for in that pre-advertisement meeting?
The role of this committee, Honorable Chair, is to make sure that there's a bid specification and the bid specification is complete. They then look at that the bid specification special conditions of contract have been populated and they are correct. They also look at that all the standard bidding documents that are required to be attached to the document are attached. They also have to look at that it is clear whether there is a side briefing or not. If side briefing was not included in the document, they would then go back to the bid specification committee and say, this commodity requires side briefing. Can you build it in the process? They will build that in the process. So they will look at the quality of documentation that has to go out on tender, pre-advertisement of that tender.
How is it constituted?
The component head, it is her responsibility to ensure that the tender is complete. She will constitute that at her behest. Normally it's a section head and the people that are working in that section head. You have two section heads in procurement, one that deals with movable government assets, which is anything that is portable to be carried around, and the other one is in the facilities space. So if it is a facilities document, the section head in facilities would then be roped in to make sure that they check that documentation and they sign it off.
Okay. Then they will give you the report. Or where will their report go to?
Then they will ask from me the permission to advertise the tender, and I'll duly authorize that.
Okay. Then on general SAPS procurement, there is a shared sentiment amongst provinces that the failure to decentralize procurement and maintenance of vehicles is one of the problems affecting the responsiveness of SAPS to crime. And then what is your view on that perception?
It would be ideal if we could decentralize some of the functions, particularly those that are not of strategic nature, the tactical matters. What we would not want to do is to render South African Police Service into lots of audit findings in terms of the quotation process that were followed. We also would not want to have SAPS to have abuse of the procurement system with regards to the three-code system. The risk has been identified in the three-code system in a sense that you could buy this water with 50 rand. If the three codes come, one says 47, one says 48, and one says 51, you will check the cheapest of the three. However, if you consolidate the demands, you may find that in a arranged contract, you could pay the price that is close to what the shops are selling, or slightly lesser or slightly higher, depending on the logistics that are involved. The costs is determined, and the transportation is also included in that pricing. So that decision to have centralized contract is to consolidate the demands and making sure that there's value for money, like National Treasury is doing with regards to the transversal contract, deriving value for money for government, and also making sure that there are not multiple entries and multiple things that needs to happen, which could render us into more irregular expenditure when the accounting officer come and audit. What we need to be doing is to look at whether the delegations in terms of drawing from these contracts has been duly done, and that the people have the authority to do what they're supposed to do. The challenge that we've got is that of financial authorities and availability of funds, and we are looking into that from a financial perspective. But decentralizing everything could put us in a much more severe and dire situation than we are in right now. We would have multiple people doing procurement, which could be to the detriment of the organization.
But can you say that you have been blamed for not responding on time to crime because of that?
Maybe, Honorable Chair, I need to come in here and explain what we're doing as procurement in the organization. Only the head office does the tenders. The procurement out of the transversal contracts, we're using mainly the transversal contracts from National Treasury, is done by the procurement in the provinces. The provinces have got a procurement structure. And that procurement structure is the one that has to respond to the needs of the procurement and not my office. We have decentralized that function. It is there in the delegation of authority. The delays that are happening in that space are not necessarily delays from my office. The provinces have got duly authorized delegated responsibilities in the procurement value chain.
Okay. As this committee, we have received a testimony that there is a culture of fear where officials cannot say no to the executive. They have an influence on procurement. Have you ever been faced with that or influenced directly or indirectly?
I have never, in the 33 years of me being employed and a tax-paying citizen in this country, been approached by any of my principals or any other person to influence the procurement process and have corruption created. The answer is no.
Do you want to tell me that you have never been influenced to say that, take this company?
No, never.
Then on the issue of Medicare?
Never.
It went normal.
I saw Medicare submission at the BAC. Prior to that, I had no knowledge that who has bid it and who has tendered for this process. No, I have not.
Your role requires a great level of independence and transparency. Would you say that you are able to exercise independence in the execution of your duties? Can you say that?
I am totally independent. I have indicated, Honorable Chair, that the only leg of the procurement process where my involvement is not there is the evaluation process. Any other level, I independently exercise my responsibilities when presented with the information. I have also indicated, Honorable Chair, that upon my return, we would have to consider. I would have to have a conversation with the National Commissioner to withdraw me from the bid adjudication, so that I can have a full grip of the procurement process right up to the submission of the tender to BAC, for that BAC to then evaluate and make sure that, and then I can be held accountable for anything that happens in the bid evaluation committee, because I would have reviewed everything and made sure that everything is done. At this current moment, with the authority given to me, I cannot be in the adjudication and be in the evaluation at the same time. It will be contradictory and it will amount to no segregation of duties.
Even a single member of the BAC has never influenced you for a particular tender?
I do ask, when you listen to the recording, you will take note that I do ask at the beginning of each BAC that anybody must declare anything or give any conflict. No member has, and I would then, if there was a member that has tried to influence me, I will declare in that committee, because it is required of me to declare.
The negative was spread that says perception, that says supply chain in SAPS has been captured by top cops. Do you agree with that?
I'm not sure which top cops. I am responsible for procurement. I am not aware of that.
National Commissioner?
National Commissioner in his personal capacity.
Deputy?
No one in SAPS has approached me. I cannot vouch as to whether they have approached other people, but in as far as I'm concerned, National Commissioner has never asked me to do him procurement favors.
We're not going to get a report that you are influenced by the deputy National Commissioner on this Matlala tender? We're not going to get that report.
You will not get that report because nothing of that nature happened.
If we
in as
get
far
it,
as
you'll
I'm concerned.
resign.
You will
You'll
not,
resign immediately if we get that.
you will not get that report because it never happened.
Okay. On AG's findings, SAPS AG findings for 2025-2026 financial year reflects on that irregular expenditure has increased by 140%, reaching to 740 million. And the findings, they point to the weaknesses in the bid evaluation committee, who lack requisite skills and training and fail to exercise the due diligence when evaluating bids. Do you agree with that first?
Correct.
Okay. With regard to the Medicare 24 tender award, according to your knowledge, did the supplier certify all requirements in the evaluation criteria when the tender was awarded?
According to my knowledge, in as far as the report that was tabled at BAC, Honorable Chair, yes, they met the requirements.
Why are you sitting with the bid evaluation committee that doesn't have skills, required skills? What have you done
The bid
in addressing that? Because you are saying that you agree with AG, then what have you done?
The bid evaluation committees, we do not have a standing bid evaluation committee in the process. Each tender has a bid evaluation committee put together to evaluate that tender. We always request the end users that are technically knowledgeable to put the spec and evaluate on that spec to come together. The issues of suppliers that are put forward, we are having a challenge with regards to that. And yet, hence I am saying, and I've said earlier on, that we need a technology that will assist us. And we also are looking forward. We have put processes in place for professionalization of our people. We have already contacted National Treasury to make sure that National Treasury come and train all the possible bid evaluation committees in South African Police Service. They've referred us to National School of Government, and we have contacted them with that regards. We are serious about making sure that all this historical irregular expenditure, that did not happen in 1 year, it's historical, and we are in the position of clarifying and making sure that we have knowledgeable people that would be able to do that. Should this persist, then we would look at what then makes the irregularities that come at that time. But we have already engaged National Treasury to ensure that we check up. Not only National Treasury, we called in the bodies that govern procurement, such as SAPS and SAPS, to come and speak to everybody in procurement from Colonel upwards to help them understand what the importance of ensuring that we've got sound governance and sound processes are, and what is it that they can assist us with making sure that our knowledge gap with as procurement is jacked up. Procurement is not a static environment, it's fluid, and it is required that we have knowledgeable people in that space. I have already arranged that. They came and they did that. I have also solicited the work of the risk and compliance team to come and explain to us what are the things that we need to do in making sure that we identify the risks, specifically for people that are at various levels. And they did come, and that process we embarked upon in August. We have redefined our risks, and we are with that. Thank you, Chair.
Dr. Fani, may you please stop speaking.
Kali, Chairperson, you have started.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chair.
The time has expired. You must look at me, Doctor. I allocate 20 minutes per speaker. When 20 minutes expires, you stop speaking. Honorable members, it's 3 hours now from 2 o'clock. So we are going to break for 15 minutes. We will come back at 5 minutes past 5. Advocate Zikalala, I wanted to use the word "getuigskrif," which is a testimonial. I mistakenly used the word kennisgewing, which is a notification. The appropriate word is getuigskrif. It's a testimonial. So, ek het verbeter, meneer. Can we request the chief whip to instruct members to leave the house and come back at 5 minutes past 5? You want me to write to a letter, chief whip, and request you to instruct the members?